if we think about our space, the DNS space, like there wouldn't be a Web 2 or Web 3 or Web 4, whatever hype terms you want to call it, without the DNS, right?
Well, the DNS is actually the word we use for a whole bunch of different things. Let me just share a screen for a second, just to illustrate what I'm talking about here. Because when you say the DNS, do you mean that label space, www.icann.org, you know, all these labels that exist? Or maybe you're talking about the name registration framework, because every name is uniquely assigned to somebody. Or are you actually meaning that amazing system that takes one of these DNS labels and translates it into an IP address with blinding speed and incredible precision and incredible uniformity? It just works worldwide all the time. Maybe you're talking about the DNS protocol, or maybe you're talking about the signaling mechanism. But I actually think underneath that, you're talking about something that's fundamental to networking. Because when I think about the DNS, I think about referential systems. You and I can't touch each other. We're doing this virtually. We can't refer to the same thing by sort of, I hand you the object. I'm talking about this. You can have it too. We have to refer to things. And the way we refer to them is this referential framework that we call the DNS. It's words, it's a dictionary. And the internet relies on a common referential framework to make everything work. And you could actually argue that when we started the internet, there were two things that defined it. We all used packets that had their addresses from the same address pool. Now, sure, you could start up your own little network and start numbering things 1, 2, 3, but that wouldn't be the internet that everyone else was on. So if you wanted to be part of that internet, you had to agree to use an address drawn from that pool. Now, interestingly, we ran out of addresses 11 years ago now in the Asia Pacific region. And these days, addresses aren't unique. Addresses are a mess, to put it bluntly. So we're relying on the other thing, because the other thing that defines the internet is actually names. As long as we can all refer to the same thing, communication actually works. And so these days, it's actually the DNS that defines the internet. You can invent your own name system, go for it. But it's your toy. The rest of us can't play because our name system is different. We've all agreed to use this naming system called the DNS. And so the value proposition here is a bit like the value of language. It's not that I can invent a new language, that's irrelevant. It's the people who use it and use it from a common dictionary, an inferred sense of meaning and reference. And that's really basic to whether it's human communication or computer communication. And so the DNS isn't just Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. I'm like, that's, you know, the DNS is so important, so fundamental. It defines the internet. And that's why it's so critical to try and keep it together. So I think we are talking about the very fundamentals of what makes the internet the internet. Everything else, the abstractions that we build above that, you know, is almost superstructure. The solid foundation is actually the namespace. And that's why it's so important.